Hello everyone and welcome to another Train Somewhere 2 video. This is a route learning tutorial for the East Coastway. This is the section between Brighton and Seaford. I have done the other section, Brighton to Eastbourne, a few months ago. You'll find it more back down in the playlist. But anyway, let's get in. I haven't set it up yet, so we'll set it up and I'll show you how to set it up. So you're going to get all these fuses here, which might be a bit fiddly, especially if you've got the HUD off on console. All of them, get that shut if we can. There we go. Now sit down, bit of that, put that to that, and then you want to get the headlights on to day running, and then we'll open the doors. They're now open. Now we are loading passengers. We'll actually have a quick no, we won't actually have a glance at the HUD actually. We'll keep the HUD completely off. I kind of know when abouts we need to be at London Road. I think it is 10:15. Now, as you can see ahead, we do have obviously a banner repeater signal. You can see it just there on kind of the gantry across the platform number 7 and 6. Obviously the one on the left is horizontal, indicating that the main signal ahead is showing a red aspect, and then the one obviously on the right is diagonal, which is indicating that the signal ahead is showing a proceed aspect, which we can actually see right now, obviously ahead of us. So I think we will actually be ready to depart at, I think, 10:12. I think that'll be a good time to leave. So let's get the door shut. We might be a little bit early, but it doesn't really matter. Give a little signal to the guard, well, from the guard and then the driver. And our starting speed limit for today is 20 miles per hour out of Brighton platform number 7. Yeah, so 20 miles per hour coming out of Brighton. You'll see, probably in the bottom right of the screen, you'll see the speed limit and then the next speed limit after this one. So we are an all-stopper service calling at London Road, Brighton, Moulsecoomb, Falmer, Lewes, Southease, Newhaven Town, Newhaven Harbour, Bishopstone and Seaford. Estimated journey time for today will be about 40 minutes. So as you can see, the speed does go up to 25 miles per hour, but I usually just stick at 20, as there's not really much point going up to 25. But if you do want to go up to 25, you sure can, but I'm just used to staying at 20. It's just much easier. So for purposes, I'll make this 20 miles per hour, this section here. In a minute the speed will increase to 30 miles per hour as we do come onto the London Road Viaduct, which obviously crosses between Brighton and London Road. Now again, our speed up to 30 miles per hour. Obviously we are running a 4 car today, but if you are running an 8 car, do allow a bit more time before you do speed up to 30. I usually wait until I'm kind of facing London Road to speed up to 30 if I am in an 8 car. So the speed is now 30 miles per hour. You can see the next speed board ahead, which is indicating we can go up to 55 miles per hour. Obviously the bottom speed limit being the multiple unit speed limit or passenger limit, and the top one being the freight limit. So if you were doing a freight train, the speed limit would be 35 miles per hour, but as we are a passenger train, we are allowed to run up to 55 miles per hour. This is all to do with brakes and all that kind of stuff. Right now coming into London Road, our first station stop. So we may be here a bit early. Here we have another service. I believe this is an 8 car service, probably come along from Hastings or heading towards Brighton. Right now departing from London Road, give the little guard bus a little ding there, and off we go. I usually tend to go into step 1, and as I'm kind of a little bit more up the platform, I go to step 2, and slowly ease it up to step 4 for a nice smooth ride for the passengers. Obviously the speed limit here is still 55 miles per hour for passenger trains, and only 35 miles per hour for freight trains. Obviously you're not really going to be running freight trains on this section unless you are in the scenario planner or doing the cutting closures scenario. Right, I think we set up into, I think, step number 3 now. There we go. And in a minute you'll see a coasting board, which is a white diamond, and that means if you obviously are stopping at the next station, just put it into coast and coast for the rest of the way there. Right, put it into step 4. The coasting board just is round here. You'll see it on the left in a second. There is the coasting board there. So we now can put the throttle into just kind of the neutral kind of position. So we made that up to 50 miles per hour basically, so you don't need to worry about going too slow or anything. Then we'll come around to the left here, and then we'll be to the right, and then we'll be coming into Moulsecoomb. So I suggest once you do get past this signal, wait a little bit and then put on probably step 1 brakes. You can see another speed board here which does allow us to go up to 70 miles per hour. Obviously if you're on a freight train it is only 45 miles per hour. But I think for the purpose of this route learning tutorial we'll just aim it on passenger trains. Right, coming into Moulsecoomb now, it does have a very short platform, so I do suggest coming in at about 20 miles per hour. And when you get under this bridge, kind of stick it into step 1, and you should come to a nice stop. Right, here we are at Moulsecoomb, so we get the doors open. Right, given the guide buzzer little thing there, and our next station stop will be Falmer. So our speed limit now is 70 miles per hour, and basically once you are leaving Moulsecoomb, once you do, well you'll see in a minute, you basically get up to 70 and then you want to start bringing it down to 60 and then start slowing down for Falmer. I believe Falmer is 1.3 miles away from from our current location, so not too far away. Obviously if you would like to see more route learning tutorials, please do comment below and I can do more ones with kind of voiceovers and all that kind of stuff. I will stick that into step 2, so we are going up a gradient, so we are getting a bit less speed. Now yes, another little thing to comment in, most of the signalling on this route is of a single aspect, so just green, red, yellow. You don't usually get double yellows unless you're kind of in the Eastbourne Hampden Park area where it's fairly busy. Put that into step 3. I'll be crossing Lewes Road in a minute. I'll put that into step 4. And then basically as soon as we get up to 70 miles per hour we will start bringing it down to 60 miles an hour. I'll kind of tell you where I start slowing down for 70. So this signal coming up here, we should by that signal be basically just around 70 miles an hour, maybe a bit less. We're slowly, I think we might have gone up a bit slower. That's all good. We're at 65 at the moment, probably going up to 67-ish, basically around 70. So as soon as we do pass that signal, get over that little bridge there, what you want to do is stop all the power and then go down to 60 miles per hour. You can see the 60 mile per hour board there, and obviously the freight limit is still 45 miles per hour. And as we do go around this corner, we want to put the brakes on again, as we are now approaching Falmer Station. Obviously to the left of us you do have Sussex University, and to the right you do have the American Express Community Stadium, home of Brighton and Hove Albion. Which as a lot of you know, they're the team I support. So I've been to Falmer many times in real life. The stop marker for the forecast stop is just after the old footbridge Obviously you've got the new bridge, which is basically built for the football stadium. Then you've got the old one here. Obviously if you're running an 8 car, you'll be straight to the end of the platform. But we want to come in at about 25 into Falmer. And if you're doing an 8 car, coming at 30. Well, it's really what you're confident with. Right, now departing from Falmer station, there's a little bell there. Put it into probably step 2. We're starting step 1 just to get a bit of power, but we are on a fairly steep gradient here. So it is worth mentioning now, if you are going towards Brighton, do be more cautious, as it is a fairly steep gradient you're going to be dealing with. So the brakes won't work as much, especially on a snowy day. Right, off we go. I don't know what them two are doing, those twins there. Standing at the end of the platform. So we stuck it into step 2 now, and we will go up to step 3 in a second. And then we will be entering Falmer Tunnel. And basically, Falmer Tunnel basically is the top of the hill. So once we are out the other side of Falmer Tunnel, we will be going on a fairly steep downhill gradient. Down to step 4. So the speed now does increase up to 70 miles per hour, and obviously freight is still the same at 45 miles per hour. So we're going through the tunnel now, and just as we do exit the tunnel, on our left you will see the coasting board. It's a little bit out of the tunnel, and then we can just stick it into the off position. There's a coasting board there. So now what you want to do is get the throttle just into the kind of neutral position and just let it coast down the hill. Applying a bit of brakeage if you do feel you are going to go above 70 miles an hour. So it's a fairly long stretch between Falmer and Lewes. I believe it is 4.3 miles the distance between the two stations. I believe this is probably one of the longest stretches between stations on the line. I think actually Berwick to Glyne could be about 4.4. Well, it's fairly long, this section. So we are now coming up to 70 miles an hour, as you can see on the speed dial there. So in a minute I will apply, I'll put it into step 1. Obviously there you did have the DSD go off, which means we haven't touched the controls for a little bit. I think it's 2 minutes, I believe. And you'll hear that beeping go off. All you need to do is just cancel that by pressing Q on keyboard, and obviously circle or B on controller. And the same with the AWS as well. Just press circle, B or Q. Right, I've put a bit of brakeage on. Our next speed limit will be 55 miles per hour. And I believe it could be 35 for freight. I don't usually do freight along here, so I'm not so good with that. That little substation or whatever it is on the right is my kind of way marker that we are approaching the bridge, which does go over the A27 dual carriageway. So that means we are going to bring it down to 55 miles per hour, especially at the other side of the bridge over the road is the 55 mile per hour speed board. You should get an AWS tick in a second. I think it's just over the bridge. Yes, as we get over the bridge you will see the 55 mile per hour speed board. Obviously that is for passenger, and I believe for freight it will go down to 35, which it does, yes. So we're now on the downhill gradient, still heading into Lewes. We'll soon be going through Kingston Tunnel. There you've got the little moorpath board there, indicating the 10 mile per hour speed limit entering Lewes station. Right, here's Kingston Tunnel coming up. And just as we get through Kingston Tunnel, you want to put it to step 1 braking, and that should give you a nice kind of decline to 10 miles per hour. So we'll put it into step 1 about now. That shall bring us down nicely for the 10 mile per hour speed limit. Now here are coming down an hour speed. We're coming around this corner and it will be into Lewes station. There you can see the 10 mile per hour speed board now, which is into all platforms. And obviously this is a combined speed limit for freight and passenger. Right, coming into Lewes now. So the stop marker for a 4-car train is basically just after the station bridge. You'll see that the dot matrix, and it's just about there. And then the 8-car one is quite close up to the signal. Just remember, Lewes does have a short platform if you are running an 8-car train. I believe it's only the front 6 coaches which doors will open on. Obviously in the game it will do all of the doors, but you get what I mean. I can see the 4-car marker now, just after the dot matrix and the station bridge. You can see the 8-car one just ahead. Right, here we are at Lewes station. Right, closing the doors now. We'll do a little ding on the buzzer. Obviously, to our left of us is the Kemah branch, which will take you up towards the Brighton main line, just south of Wivelsfield station. Obviously, you can't go up the Kemah branch, but the stations on it are Cooksbridge and Plumpton. So it's 10 miles an hour out of Lewes. Obviously, services go up towards London, Victoria that way. And if anybody is wondering what that kind of platform which is filled in is at Lewes station, that is the old platform for Uckfield trains, which went up the Uckfield line, which obviously is now closed. It closed in the 1960s, obviously due to beaching. So the speed will increase up to 20 miles per hour, and basically straight after that up to 40 miles per hour. There's a speed limit into platforms 1 and 2 is 20 miles per hour, but obviously for platforms 3, 4 and 5 it is 10 miles an hour. So we're going up to 20 now. And once we pass this marker here, we'll then go up to 40 miles an hour. And then the speed limit coming up will actually increase up to 60 miles per hour, but I would only suggest speeding up to 60 if you are on the eastbourne service. So obviously the speed limit will then decrease again down to 60 for Southerham Junction. So we do have a single yellow there, so it looks like the signal guarding Southerham Junction is showing a red aspect. So speed limit is now 60. But only go up to 60 if you are doing the eastbourne service. I do suggest staying at around 40 to 50 miles an hour if you are going down to Seaford. But the junction speed limit is 40 miles an hour if you are going towards Seaford. So as we do have that red light coming up, we will bring the speed down just round this corner guarding the junction. So there must be a train coming along from eastbourne. Right, coming up to the signal now, and I'll do a little time lapse and then we'll be back on the other side. Oh, we might not even need to do a time lapse. There's a train there. Should be heading towards Brighton. That should now clear the points and we should be able to proceed. Obviously, if you're heading towards Eastbourne, the speed does increase up to 70 miles per hour. But as we are crossing the junction, as you can see by the feather signal there, we will have to stay at 40 miles an hour. And our next station stop will be Southease. Right, crossing the junction now, to the lines to the left go over to Eastbourne. Obviously then would continue towards Hastings, and if you're counting the Marsh link, up to obviously Ashford International. So it goes quite far. Well, the speed limit now is going up to 70 miles per hour. Even for freight it also is 70. Right, definitely my favourite part of the route, going between Lewes and Newhaven. It's just a lovely, nice bit of the route. You can see the other line there going off over there, under the A27. We're speeding up to 70 and heading down the Ouse Valley. Obviously we are stopping at Southease, but if you are going fast through Southease, you need to take note of the 60 mile per hour speed limit through Southease, and then soon after it goes down to 50 for freight trains. Yeah, so it does go down to 60 miles per hour through Southease for passenger and freight. But just after that 60, after the station, for freight it will go down to 50, and for passenger services it will remain at 70. Now as we do start to come through this cutting, I'm going to start applying some breakage, as Southease is not far off now. There should be a whistle board round here as well. Right, there's the whistle board there. And here is the 60 mile per hour speed board. Southease yet again does have a short platform, so do come in at about 20 to 25 miles per hour, and the stop car marker is at the end of the platform. If you're going towards Lewes, it's just after the bridge. They're quite far in front of the yellow line. Right, this is Southease. Right, getting the door shut now, and then we'll do a little buzz of the bell. See, guard does it twice, and then the driver does it twice. I think it's about 3 miles to Newhaven Town. But yes, Newhaven Town is our next stop. That also does have a short platform, but the stop marker is at the end of the platform. And the speed obviously still is 60 miles per hour. But at the speedboard it will increase to 70 miles per hour if you are doing a passenger service, and if you are doing a freight service it will go down to 50 miles per hour. another service there heading towards Brighton. Let's put that into step number 2. Did take a bit of a while there to go up. And there'll be a couple of whistle boards down here as well. Put that into step 3 actually. Here's one of the whistle boards, and then soon after there's another one. Then we're going to step 4. So the speed limit will remain at 70 miles per hour for obviously passenger trains, and still remains at 50 miles per hour for freight trains. But if you are a freight train and you are heading into the Newhaven aggregate terminal, once you do pass this upcoming signal, start bringing it down to 15 miles per hour, which will then help, well, that's the speed limit over the crossover into the yard. So if you are running a freight train down this section, remember to, after this signal coming up here, which will be showing a flashing yellow aspect, start bringing it down to 15 miles an hour. But for a passenger train to remain at 70 miles per hour, and then in a second you'll see the warning board for the 35 mile per hour speed limit, and then you want to put it into step 1 or 2 brakes and slowly bring it down. So here we are. Here we have the 35 mile per hour warning board. So put the brakes simply in step 1, and then slowly bring it down to 35 miles an hour. And here upcoming is the 15 mile per hour section. Obviously this is for freight trains, well, and passenger trains, but all trains going into the Newhaven aggregate terminal. I believe it is 15 throughout the whole terminal. So we're coming down to a nice 35 miles per hour. The speed will go obviously down to 35, just I believe after this signal coming up. So you've got a class 66 in there with the aggregate train. Here is the 35 mile per hour speed board, and then you can see that bridge ahead. After that we will be coming into Newhaven Town, and upon entry into Newhaven Town I suggest you go about 20 to 25 miles per hour. Got one of the old signal boxes there. Over the level crossing and then into Newhaven Town. And the stop marker is at the end of the platform. Coming in for a nice stop here at Newhaven Town. Right, this is Newhaven Town. The next station stop will be Newhaven Harbour. Right, now getting the doors shut, and our next station stop will be Newhaven Harbour. The speed limit here is 35 miles per hour, so as you can see, you'll see 30 miles per hour for freight, but you're not really going to be running freight down here as there's no services for freight which run down here. So 35 miles per hour this section. But it's not 35 miles per hour for long, as just around this corner it will decrease down to 20 miles an hour on the arrival into Newhaven Harbour. So we'll bring it up to about 30 miles an hour, and then we'll start slowing down for the 20 mile per hour speedboard, which is just as we arrive into Newhaven Harbour Station. The platform to the right of us, the northbound platform, actually can hold 8 cars. The one we're going on to can only hold 4 cars. This is as most ferry passengers who get off the ferry then get onto that platform there, so it just makes more sense to have that one as an 8-car one, because there's not many people really going to be going along to Seaford if they've come off the ferry. Right, here we are at Newhaven Harbour. Let's get the doors open, and our next station stop will be Bishopstone. You can see the track just ahead of us goes off into a kind of siding. That is the remnants of Newhaven Marine Station, and then you can also see the tracks do veer off to the left, and that is where we'll be going, and it will go from a double track line to just a single track line. Right now, closing the doors at Newhaven Harbour, our next station stop will be Bishopstone. So the speed limit now is 20 miles an hour, and if you are going into Newhaven Marine sidings, it does go down to 15 miles an hour. So 20 miles an hour, and then it will go up to 70. Obviously you need to wait for the back of the train to pass that 70. So just after the level crossing, you want to speed up. I'm going to speed up to about 70 about now. We won't actually make it up to 70 as there is an uphill gradient, so we'll get up to about 60 before we do need to start slowing down for Bishopstone. So just coming up now, on both hand sides of the train you will see a abandoned platform. If you haven't seen the video already, this is Bishopstone Beach Halt, also known as Tide Mills, which was abandoned in 1942. Obviously the platform remains, and obviously you'll notice it has 2 platforms. This is because this section down to Seaford used to be 2 tracks, obviously until it got cut probably in the 60s to just 1 track. That's why at Seaford it's platform number 2 instead of platform number 1, which can confuse some people sometimes. And also Bishopstone as well, that also has 2 platforms. So we'll just keep it about 65, and then we'll start putting the brakes on. You can already see, well, there was a coasting board there, but you can already see Bishopstone coming up now. You can see the footbridge for it going across there. So what we want to do is keep it in step 1 brakes, and we want to enter Bishopstone platform at around 20 to 25 miles per hour. I believe the platform can hold 5 coaches, 5 to 6 coaches, and the stop marker is on actually both platforms. You can see it. I tend to look at the one on the left as that's a bit easier. Here we are now coming into Bishopstone. So you'll see the stop marker there on the left and right, but I'm going to look at the one on the left. Right, this is Bishopstone. Right now closing the doors. Our next station stop will be Seaford. So you want to go about 40 miles an hour. The speed limit obviously still is 70. But there's no point getting up to 70, so just be at about 40 or 45. So we're only going up to 40 to 45 miles per hour on this, I think it's not even a mile between Bishopstone and Seaford. So now we're at 40, we'll just coast it along, and then we do need to get ready for the 15 mile per hour entry speed into Seaford. So I usually start slowing down just after the second bridge coming up now. There we go, put it into step 1. And now we can see Seaford platform 2 ahead. Obviously they did used to have 2 platforms, but this one still is named as platform number 2. Put that into step 2 actually. Yeah, a bit of hard braking there, but we are now at 15 miles per hour coming into Seaford. I'm kind of guessing, I didn't actually really know, but I believe platform 1 would have actually been on that side there. I always thought there was a platform on there. Yeah, I've just kind of thought about that. Yeah, it would have been on the left there, the other platform. Right, coming into Seaford now. Obviously the speed limit is 15 miles per hour. That's until we can't really see the buffer. There we go. Right, we are now at Seaford, and that does complete this route learning tutorial video. Thanks all for coming in who have made it this far. If you actually have made it this far, put Seaford in the comments section. But yeah, hopefully everyone did enjoy it. If you do want to see more of this, please do comment below, and I can try and get to it. I only know a certain, well, few routes, so I'll see what I can do. Hopefully this did help out everyone. Obviously links in the description to the Discord server if you do have any questions and want to directly contact me, and to the PayPal if you do want to help support the channel and see more of this kind of stuff. But that is it. Thanks all for coming in, and I hopefully will see you in the next one. Bye everyone, and take care.